Across Britain will close this week as the death toll from coronavirus climbs to 104. The Prime Minister says all children, except those of key workers and the most vulnerable, will be at home from next week. No one knows for how long.
After schools shut their gates from Friday afternoon, they will remain closed for most pupils, for the vast majority of pupils, until further notice.
A-level and GCSEs are cancelled, a decision is yet to be made in Scotland and Northern Ireland.
We work so hard, and the past 2 years it's always had that long end goal, GCSEs, and it's just got to the point where that's in sight, and now it's not anymore.
For people renting their homes, the Prime Minister promises to protect private tenants unable to work, saying he'll stop them being evicted. The pound plummets. It has plunged to its lowest level in 35 years against the dollar. In Italy, a record rise in the number of deaths. 475 people have died in the past 24 hours, bringing the total to almost 3,000. And the BBC halts filming on EastEnders and other big dramas as broadcasters are hit. But lessons for children stuck at home are among new programmes being brought in.
Also tonight, we meet health workers on the front line working to protect Londoners. And could London be the first place in the country to be locked down? We look at the likelihood and the impact.
Good evening. All schools across Britain will close by the end of the week until further notice as the death toll from coronavirus reached 104. Boris Johnson said schools will close their doors by Friday. From next week, most children will be at home until further notice, except for children of key workers like NHS staff, police and delivery workers, as well as the most vulnerable. A-levels and GCSEs will not go ahead in England and Wales. A decision has yet to be made in Scotland and Northern Ireland. The government said it would make sure every child got the proper recognition they deserve, but didn't say how. The dramatic move came as the number of confirmed cases of coronavirus in the UK jumped by almost 700 to 2,626. 104 people have now died. The NHS said those who died in England were aged between 59 and 94 and had underlying health conditions. Our political editor, Laura Pinsberg, is in Westminster. Laura.
Sophie, this was a decision that the government never wanted to have to take, a decision that they put off until they felt it was the crucial moment to act. But as the number of people infected by this disease continues to mount, so too the impact on all of our lives continues to become more and more profound. And this time it has turned the lives of millions of children and therefore millions of families around the country upside down, with school gates closing after lessons on Friday for a time being, and no one knows until when. Home time, not just till the morning, but maybe for many months. The school bell on Friday will signal the end of normal life for millions of families for the foreseeable future.
I think it's good for the children, right? But I think it's going to be hard for the parents that have still got to go to work.
I'm very worried about it. Why? Because it's scary. It's killing the people.
I'm a kind of stay old dad, so it's not such a problem. My wife is kind of main breadwinner, so it's not too bad.
It's perhaps not the last resort for the government, but certainly closing school gates was one of the measures ministers were desperate to avoid.
After schools shut their gates from Friday afternoon, they will remain closed for most pupils, for the vast majority of pupils, until further notice. Now, I know that these steps will not be easy for parents or for teachers, and for many parents this will be frustrating, and it will make it harder for them to go out to work.
Families will wonder, maybe more than anything else tonight, how long these closures might last.
Sure.
Can you give us any indication?
Our judgment right now is that this is the moment to provide further downward pressure. I wish I could give you an answer about how long it will be, Laura, but we've got to do it right now.
For the children, the closure of schools poses a huge challenge to parents who are trying to earn a living, many of them now working from home. The government also stressed that children shouldn't be left with grandparents who are the most vulnerable to the virus. All exams have been cancelled in England and Wales, and Scotland and Northern Ireland are due to make a decision in the coming days. Our education editor, Branwen Jeffries, reports. Let's talk to our political editor, Laura Kuenssberg in Westminster. And Laura, we seem to be following in the footsteps of countries like France and Spain. School closures this week. A lot of people wondering if there are going to be further restrictions next.
Well, Sophie, the government's position has always been quite clear that they have taken decisions as and when the data looked at and produced by government scientists has been changing over time. But they've also been quite clear that there's been a range of things on the table, a kind of series of steps, or to use the jargon that's been used in Whitehall, it's like a ladder with different rungs, and as we go up the stage of getting through this outbreak, the government needs to take different actions to try to clamp down, and above all else, of course, to save lives. It was notable today that the Prime Minister didn't rule out increasing the level of restrictions on our lives. In fact, he was quite explicit in doing so. But I think that said, we should also be clear that the government has been trying very hard and clear about the fact that they are taking a step-by-step approach.
In Spain, the outbreak continues to spread fast. There are now almost 14,000 confirmed cases with more than 600 deaths. All hotels will close in Spain by next Tuesday, and the Foreign Office has urged British holidaymakers to return home before then. Our Europe correspondent Damien Grammaticus is in Madrid for us tonight. Damien.
Sophie, I'm talking through to you from the very heart of Madrid. The city has about half of all Spain's cases, and this is the point, the axis at which the city's two biggest avenues cross. And look, you could practically walk down them now. Now here they are starting to requisition hotels. The first one here in Madrid will be taken over tomorrow by the government to be used for hospital patients so they can recover. What's really concerning the authorities, their nightmare scenario, is that the virus has found its way into care homes here, where some of the most at-risk populations can be found, as we saw when we visited one of the worst-hit homes here in Madrid today.
Inside this Madrid care home are 120 elderly, frail residents, and also now the virus. In just a week, it's taken a terrible toll here. Every day, hearse is called each time another resident has succumbed. From his home right across the street, Miguel Campos says he's watched the vans come and go. 17 of them now.
From my window, I've seen them. They put the body bags inside and go directly to the crematorium. They are trying to avoid any risk of contamination.
So the care home has been sealed off, relatives too not allowed inside, even as their parents or grandparents have been dying. What's happening now in Spain is the scenario many fear, COVID-19 spreading among the most vulnerable. Today we watched as Carlos Fuentes tried to get in to see his mother. Last he'd heard, she has no symptoms. This is her, Jesusa, 89 years old, celebrating in the home last Christmas with a staff member. I couldn't get inside, he says. I don't know what is going on in there. I just want news about my mother. When he tries to phone, it's constantly engaged. Volunteers at the care home say there's been little assistance for the staff trying to fight the virus here.
We're worried because no one has yet come to sanitize this place.
In the surrounding streets, people are hunkered down, part of what is now a nationwide confinement.
So this is what you find now all across Spain. People shuttered inside their houses, communities that have fallen silent because everyone is now acutely conscious of the dangers posed by the virus and only venturing out if it's absolutely necessary.
Spain only imposed these measures from last weekend, but given the virus's incubation period could be up to 2 weeks, cases continue to rise fast. Another 2,500 confirmed today. So police are now enforcing the lockdown more vigorously. In Madrid, they've begun handing out fines to people who are outside without a valid reason. It all means a strange quiet has fallen over the Spanish capital, a city stilled by the outbreak here. Damien Grammaticus, BBC News, Madrid.
Well, Italy is still the hardest hit country in Europe with more than 35,000 cases. The death toll has also surged again in the last 24 hours by 475. Almost 3,000 people have died there. In Germany, there have been over 12,000 cases and 28 deaths. And tonight, Chancellor Angela Merkel has given an unprecedented televised address describing the virus as the country's greatest challenge since the Second World War. In a moment, we'll speak to Jenny Hill in Berlin, but first let's speak to Mark Lowen in Rome. And